Good afternoon, and welcome back to our draft educational series. My name is Bahamut, joined by Justing, and we're immediately going to start diving into Towers of Doom. And today we're going to be focusing on a little bit of draft etiquette, some priority picks and bans, and of course, Justing, are you ready to get into all this educational content for Towers of Doom?
Yep, I'm always excited to talk about draft, so let's get right into it.
Alrighty, so for the purpose of this video, we're going to say that our left-hand side team, team number 1, or A, is going to be having first pick priority, meaning that the team 2, or the right side team, they will be having map pick priority, and they will be the ones to choose to take us to Towers of Doom. So let's talk about the ban dynamics immediately here, Justing, for Towers of Doom draft.
Yeah, so drafting, the bans in draft are very important, and there's kind of an interesting strategy that goes on with that. Both teams will have their own priorities on what they consider to be powerful or OP, just S plus tier picks. So the number one thing to do is to just establish what those are. So for this example, I'm going to use Joe, Rhaegar, and Junkrat as kind of the top 3 in that order. And then I'll say Stukov is sort of my fourth most OP. And you can have other ones that are priority picks like Blaze, Hogger, Lunara, Falstad, but I wouldn't consider those to be quite in the same category. So the way that first pick and second pick bans is really dependent on this list that you create, either as a team or as an individual in your own head. So the first pick team's goal is to not ban any of those first 3 because they want to get at least one of the most powerful heroes for their first pick. So banning something like a Stukov would make a lot of sense for the first pick team's first ban.
And of course, Stukov gone away. You have that, as you had said, there's still Rhaegar, Joanna, Junkrat. What do you kind of look at it for Team 2?
So if you're Team 2, in the first ban situation here, you typically need to ban the thing that you absolutely don't want to play against. So if Johanna is considered the most OP, you would have to ban Johanna there. And you want to do that so that your second ban can be a little bit more flexible.
And then, you know, we just keep rolling into this. What do you look at for Team 1, since they do have this first pick priority? How do you kind of maybe trick the enemy team into banning something that you want?
So you can look to ban something like a Lunara in a situation where it's a priority pick, but it's not usually something that you would first pick, especially not in Towers of Doom. And you do that because it's almost a throwaway ban for first pick, because you want to leave it in a situation where both Rhaegar and Junkrat are both available for you to pick. And that puts the second pick in a situation where they have to make a difficult choice between either trading Rhaegar for Junkrat or banning one of them, and the first pick team getting either Rhaegar or Junkrat for free. So that's kind of the dynamic that you need to set up as first pick, and that's also why you needed to ban the Joe as second pick, so that you could be flexible and make that decision.
Really good flexibility within this ban dynamics, and so we'll see Team 1 banning out the Stukov and Lunara, and Team 2, let's say they ban that Joanna Rhaegar. How do you kick things off on Towers of Doom? Do you immediately go for that Junkrat?
Yeah, so this is perfect for Team 1 off of the bans. You have the Johanna, Rhaegar, and Junkrat as your priority picks. 2 of them were banned out by the second pick team, so you get the Junkrat essentially for free without having to trade it away for anything.
And we know Junkrat's got so much control, poke, and everything for Towers of Doom, so it's a fantastic start to the draft, and it doesn't really show the direction you're going. But we jump to the opposing side. What does Team 2 go into now?
So you're going to be looking at your priorities as a player or a team, and so you're going to pick up a offlane and a support here. So Blaze and Anduin are good picks. You want to take the Anduin as a priority because Rhaegar and Stukov have been banned away, which means that the support priority goes up a little bit. And then taking the Blaze, just a really strong all-around offlaner in general. He's just really powerful anyways on any map. And you want to pick things that are really flexible with your early picks. So offlane, support, and ranged are typically what you want to be picking with these early picks.
Seems like there's a little bit of role priority at the start of this, and as we're kind of wrapping up the first portion of the draft, how does Team 1, what do they pick up here?
So Hogger is still available, and Hogger and Blaze have been kind of the strongest offlanes. There are quite a few offlanes available, but it also doesn't really give anything away to pick that early. So picking up the Hogger, and then since you are in first pick, you have the option to go into something like a Diablo, and then use your ban on something like a Tychus, so that your tank is safe from the percent damage like that. And that's the big part of the power that first pick gets, is they get the option to pick their pick and also know what they're going to ban, because there's no pick from the other team in between. So you can know that you can pick that Diablo on the third pick from first pick, and you can then ban the Tychus, and your Diablo will be safe.
I do really like also the displacement level that you're going to get from our Team 1 with that Junkrat, Hogger, and Diablo. There's a lot of control, poke, and very good dive aggression. But we get into the second ban phase here, and we need to go back and talk about our second ban phase dynamics, and how do you look at this as it is going to be the ban coming out from the side of Team 2 first?
Yeah, so as Team 1, after you've picked that Diablo, you can basically have already decided that you're going to be looking to ban that Tychus. Otherwise, you wouldn't really feel comfortable picking the Diablo there. That's also why you wouldn't really pick a Diablo earlier than that, because you don't have that safety net of being able to for sure ban out the Tychus. But for Team 2, you're going to be mostly looking at what the enemy team has already picked, if there's any obvious counters to it. Right now, there isn't, or what you've picked as well. There's not really anything that obviously counters Blaze or Anduin, which is good because you picked really flexible picks. The one thing that stands out is that Stukov and Rhaegar, 2 priority supports, have been banned away, and the enemy team didn't pick a support themselves. You did, so you would be looking to choke the support pool even further, and banning something like a Brightwing would make a lot of sense, so that there's no percent healing for the Diablo, just no more point-and-click CC to follow up with the Junkrat and the Hogger and the Diablo, just looking to kind of play around the amount of characters in each hero pool left. Makes a lot of sense to ban away that Brightwing, with so many being picked and banned already.
And as we're continuing to talk about the second ban phase dynamics, we're going to look at Team 1 as they do have to ban something out as well. They've got kind of some high health pools here. Is this that Tychus ban that we need to get rid of immediately?
Yeah, you need to ban the Tychus out, and you already, no matter what the Team 2 bans, unless they ban the Tychus, you don't really, this is kind of just a no-brainer for you from the first pick slot. It would be too scary to pick the Diablo if you didn't know that you could ban the Tychus, and that's the big power that first pick gets around the second ban phase.
And so we're going to get into the closing strategies for these drafts, and Team 2 will have the first pick after this second ban phase. And this is kind of where you really put together the rest of your draft for both of these teams. And on Towers of Doom, there's so many different strategies. What should Team 2 kind of go into with this Blaze Anduin already?
So you want to pick up a ranged and a tank here, because you want to remain flexible. Team 2's big advantage that they get in the draft is being able to have the final pick after everything else is picked, which means you really want to make an effort to make that last pick your flex for Team 2. So you already picked your offlane and your support, so you want to pick a tank and a ranged, and if possible, you want to take a ranged that the first pick team would want, because you can kind of think of this as almost another ban you get as being the second pick here, as you get to pick something, but you could also pick something that the first pick team would want if it was left up. So Falstad would be a good example of that, where you need a range damage dealer, and Team 1 would really like to have a Falstad. So being able to pick it for yourselves and also deny it away from them, really good. And you have the option of pretty much any tank here, so Stitches is also a good option. Stitches being able to combo with the Anduin with the pull, so you can have the Gorge pull combo, being able to combo with the Gust with the Falstad that you just took, which also was a deny pick. It also keeps your draft flexible, so your last pick can be essentially any role, anything for that last pick.
And that's really, really flexible in the closing strategy for Team 2. Looking at the opposing side, Team 1's closing strategy, they've got their Junkrat, they've got their Hogger and the Diablo, but what else do you use here? I mean, obviously they need a support, but is it going to be a hyper carry Junkrat?
So you definitely need something that can help to take out the Stitches. So this is where something like a Hanzo would be good. He's just really reliable, sustained damage that can take down tanks slowly. And he also synergizes well with having the Dragon Arrow to set up to have even more CC. You have the APOC with the arrow if you want. You can just combo a lot with just a lot of CC and just sustained damage to be able to take out the Stitches. And then this is where the Team 2's kind of strategy of the second ban on Brightwing is important and good, is Team 1 has to take a Lucio here or something else that doesn't have a lot of good CC if they want to be safe. Lucio's kind of the next support priority available, but Lucio's not really exactly what you would want with this type of composition. You would prefer to have something like that Stukov or like the Anduin with the CC that can save people easily, and not being able to have that point-click CC like the Brightwing polymorph to follow up on all the CC of Junkrat Diablo feels a little bit rough. So that's sort of the big downside to the comp for Team 1, and that's sort of the payoff for Team 2 with their bans and choking out the support pool the way that they did.
And there is still one more pick from Team 2, as we had talked about. They're going to keep this closing pick really close to their chest, and it's going to be kind of a flex pick. They've got this Blaze, Anduin, Stitches, Falstad. What else would you grab for the draft on Towers of Doom for Team 2?
So you pretty much have the option to go into anything here for Team 2. The big thing that stands out to me is with the Tychus being banned from the first pick team and then picking up the Diablo, you really need a way to be able to take that Diablo down with his big HP pool, and Falstad alone isn't going to do that. So you'd be looking to pick up just another auto attack based carry, something that does a lot of sustain damage so that you have the ability to just focus the Diablo down. Something like a Sylvanas would pair really well, especially because you'd have the Mind Control or the Wailing Arrow, both of them just really good follow-ups to the Stitches comp, sort of the Kidnap composition that you've built. It's good follow-up, and then at level 20, if you do go that Mind Control, you can even just fish for engages for your Stitches and set up for your Stitches, and it gives you the sustain damage with the percent level 1 to be able to take out the Diablo. So just, your flex pick here can be anything, and that's why it's important for Team 2 to leave that flexible, so you can kind of deal with anything that the last 2 picks were for Team 1.
And I feel like that's going to be a motif in a lot of these educational videos that we do for draft. It's going to be talking about that last pick because it is kind of a crux for some of these teams. You know, if you kind of get drafted into a corner, maybe that's the saving grace. But this is going to be a wonderful draft for Towers of Doom. And thank you, Justing, for joining me for this draft etiquette video. You can also find amazing games that Justing and I played and some highlights from the past weeks over here